some longer episodes this week.
Yeah.
Also, hopefully this isn't covering our faces.
It will be a little bit.
Too much. Okay. Hi, welcome to the Music Lens podcast with me, Alex Allegra.
And Katie Fee.
Okay, so, because I was like, how was your week, Katie?
Yeah.
Because we went to go see Ladies in Tangents.
Yes.
Who
we went to
kind
Charlotte.
of inspired our podcast in itself. Formatting wise, it inspired how we wanted to run the podcast because I realized that we didn't have to be super serious about a podcast to have
Keep
people
it casual.
Pay attention to a podcast.
Keep it fun, keep it casual. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was fun. So we went to Charlotte.
Yes. Went there. Literally drove there Tuesday, went to the show, and then drove back Wednesday. So, and it rained Wednesday. Otherwise, we would have found something to do. Yeah, on the way there, I guess a little bit too.
But we were also very tired that morning. So.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. If it's just like we're getting up there into like getting into the late 20s, we're starting to not be able to like rally as much.
Oh, all of my like friends just the drinking has slowed a lot. It's like if we're gonna go out drinking, it's like we're gonna go out to like get a nice cocktail or like have a glass of wine for like a date night. Like it's not like going to the clubs and getting drunk till 3 a.m. anymore. And I didn't realize how old I've gotten until I can't do that anymore. Even though we're not that old.
No, but still, yeah. Because we were like, we're gonna go find a bar, and then they're all kind of not open late.
Also, Charlotte apparently is not the place to get down on a Tuesday night.
It was, yeah. I mean, I wasn't really looking. I think you were more the one trying to find something, but you couldn't find anything that was open past like 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, and that wasn't super expensive.
Yeah. So we went to Walmart and got alcohol, and then we're like, we'll just drink in the hotel. We each, I think, only drank half of our drink, and it was like what are the cans? Like 12-ounce cans?
They were just wine coolers, and we were like, I just figured we'd have like a little college throwback kind of a day, and
just
then like
hang out.
Everyone got into their PJs and was so quiet that
we're like, all right, it's time to pass out. It's like, time to go to bed.
It was fun though. We had a really fun time. The show was really fun.
Got stuck in an elevator briefly.
I did not, and that's a good thing because the panic would have been heard around the world.
I think it was karma because we went up in the elevator.
Sorry.
Yes. We went up in the elevator, and you could not tell that this thing was even moving.
No, and so I at one point
freaked
was
out.
freaking out because I was like, "Oh my god, it's not moving. We need to go. We need to go." And I was like, and Katie's like, "Alex, it's moving." And I was like, "I don't think it is."
It beeped for floor 3. I'm like, "Okay, it's moving," because it just beeped for the next floor. I'm like, "You're fine. Calm down." And then I went back down to the lobby to meet our friend Sammy, because she's waiting for our Uber Eats order, and I also was trying to fill my water bottle. The water thing didn't work. But we're going back up the elevator, and it doesn't seem like it's moving, but I'm like, okay, I know this doesn't feel like it's moving, but it usually is. And then I'm like, well, we were on 4. So I'm like, let's hit 3 and just like get off early and find the stairs because this is just taking a long time. And then it still wasn't doing anything. It was taking a little too long. And I started hitting the door open thing, and then all the lights went away. And we heard voices outside, and we're like, we're still on the first floor. And there's like a mom and a kid, and she's like, go ahead, you can press it again. I'm like, okay, so they're trying to get on, but it's just not opening. And we knock, we're like, hello, excuse me. I don't know if she couldn't hear us. I don't know how she couldn't hear us, but she did not acknowledge that she heard us.
Absolutely not. No, thank you.
Yeah.
That's my worst.
I think we pressed 4 again, and then it opened. And we were like, hey, the elevator doesn't work. And she's like, oh, I was just on here a minute ago. I'm like, yeah, well, we were stuck in there for several minutes.
Like,
so I wouldn't put a child on there.
Yeah.
But you do you. We're going to find the stairs. So I hope they're okay, obviously. But like,
it's on them.
I'm like, I feel gaslit. You're like, oh, it's fine. I'm like, no, it's not. We were stuck there. I thought we were going to be stuck for a while.
Yeah.
So that was.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
But. Yeah, I think that was the main bad part was that, but otherwise it was a good trip.
It was a good trip.
The security guard at the show was hilarious.
Oh my
she
gosh.
needs her own comedy show.
She She knew how to entertain herself,
Yes.
and I was all for it.
She was like looking, she's like, I will pay someone $5 for whoever has the weirdest thing in their bag while we're like waiting in line to get in. And found like some shooters of, I don't know if it was vodka or tequila. It was like a clear.
There was tequila.
Okay, it was clear liquor, and she's like, "Come get these after because I can't drink these because clear liquor makes me violent." And like, okay, sure.
It was yeah. It was fun though.
Yeah, it was.
I hope whoever had the heartworm got their heartworm.
I hope
back.
so. Yeah, it was like a dog toy that was like a heartworm. And it's because they do heartwarming stories, but it's like they keep saying heartwarming when they're talking. I'm
So
also
busy.
thrown off.
I'm
from
like,
it.
I have no clue what day it is anymore. Yeah, and we record these on Saturdays.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I'm tired. And Starbucks, I'm like, I need some more espresso.
Well, it is Women's History Month, so we figured we'd do an episode based around that. Like we said, we record this on Saturday, so yesterday was International Women's Day.
Yeah.
So
Women. Sorry about the yawn.
yawning.
I'm really not like, I love this podcast. I'm just sleepy. And Starbucks, no offense, messed up my order today, and so I have no caffeine in me. Hold on. Oh! Coffee in a mug.
Should we just start?
Official start is now.
Okay. If you're watching the YouTube version, it's gonna be interesting that we just like cut some stuff of you just got coffee now, so hopefully you'll be more awake now.
Awake.
But yeah, it'll be interesting if there will be some sort of cut and then all of a sudden Alex has a mug. So
This part will probably stay in.
Yeah. All right. It's Women's History Month, so
yeah.
we're doing a Women's History Month episode. Yay! And as of the day we're recording this, yesterday was International Women's Day. So I was
March 1st.
March 8th.
March 8th.
I
started on a Friday, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's
March
why
1st
I'm a week behind,
was a
apparently.
week before. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how much I'm seeing behind this mic, but I purposely wore my Eras Tour shirt because
Yours
Taylor.
is really faded.
Is it? I can't tell.
Mine is still like
I wear it all the
fresh ink.
time.
Well, so do I. I wear it once a week and I wash it once a week, but still, yours is really faded.
Well,
It's okay though.
it's okay. Maybe she'll do an update of one, and I'll
Mine
get
is
in
just-
one if they add TS11 to it.
Maybe.
We'll see.
I just was really cold because Brayden turned on the AC and it was 65 degrees in this place, so I was cold.
It's like 50 something outside, so yeah. Don't want the AC
Aunt
on
was
right
cold.
now. Ah,
And if you don't know
that's
who that
saying
is,
something.
you can go to last week's episode.
Yes. But yeah, I have a lot, so I guess we should
The
probably
show is now.
the lore of the show.
Yeah. Who's Aunt?
Who's
Who's
Aunt?
Brayden? Ooh.
Ghosts.
Anyway.
Paper.
I'm awake
Snow.
now.
A ghost. Sorry. That's like, I don't know. That's a favorite Friends quote for some reason. Is
We used to text it to each other.
I think so, yeah. Or just like randomly say it. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how to like read this because the mic does completely, if I have it like in a normal spot, I cannot see anything. Hello. That doesn't help
never
anything.
mind.
It's just a
I don't know.
big circle. Yeah, I did a lot. And so I was trying to like condense it down, but I figured like kind of 3 parts of the episode. So I figured we'd
Okay.
talk about
Not a 3-part episode. Just
no, like
3 parts
I have
to
like
said
3
episode.
sections. I feel like this is like a research paper.
Katie did really good research, so everyone give it up for Katie. Go, Katie!
Yes, I
That's
took
why
a lot
she
of time
really
yesterday.
should be the researcher and not me sometimes. I'm
Okay.
here for commentary.
All right, we'll see how the next one goes. Okay, but I figured we'd start with like I found an article about iconic women in music history, so I figured we can start there. It's from Far Out Magazine, and I basically just copied a bunch of it and try to like edit down a little bit, but I'm kind of just speaking quotes verbatim. So
Quotes.
we're
That's
gonna
what they're supposed to be. Right?
yeah, we're gonna put links to literally everything in the show notes. So if you want to like see the actual article. But so 10 iconic women who made music history. Aretha Franklin. The Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, became a conqueror of minds during one of the most fundamentally difficult times in Black history. As a victim of double marginalization, being both Black and a woman, the very cracks at the edges of her upbringing lit within her a fire that would be there until the day she died. Using her beautiful music as a powerful tool, Franklin dedicated her life to the civil rights and women's rights movements, with her songs Respect and Natural Woman, which became the anthems of both. She also provided money and covered payrolls of civil rights groups, along with performing at many high-profile protests and benefit concerts. She then became the first woman to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1987.
Yes.
So,
I love
number
her
one.
so much. She has been such a big inspiration in my life as a musician. She was the first solo I ever got. I sang Respect at a 5th grade concert. And when I got my record player, I was like, I need an Aretha Franklin album. And so I bought her records because I was like, I need to spin them in the background because I just respect her so much as a woman, as a Black woman in music, as everything that she was. I just love her so much. So
Diana Ross rose to fame as the lead vocalist of the legendary Motown group The Supremes before embarking on a successful solo career. Ross is often referred to as Queen of Motown and is one of the most iconic and influential female artists in music history. As the frontwoman of the Supremes, Ross achieved unprecedented success as one of the first female African-American singing groups to achieve mainstream popularity. The Supremes became one of Motown's most successful acts, setting a precedent for women artists of color in the music industry. Ross's transition from the Supremes to a solo career demonstrated her versatility and appeal beyond the confines of a group. Her solo success as a pop and R&B artist paved the way for other women artists to explore diverse musical styles and cross over to different genres. So,
nice. Yeah. Didn't they do was it the Grammys 2 years ago that did it big?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember when did she pass? Because didn't she pass like not that long ago? I have a laptop.
But she was like in the performance, I think, a couple years
ago.
Oh,
is she still alive?
Yeah.
Who? I thought there was someone, not Tina Turner this year, but like in the past few years that was like in the same genre.
Aretha died not too long ago.
Maybe it was Aretha. I don't know. But yeah. Dolly Parton. As one of the most celebrated and beloved figures in country music, Dolly Parton has made some of the most significant contributions to the genre in all of history. Parton rose to prominence in the male-dominated country music industry, which is still male-dominated, during the late 60s and early 1970s.
Reason for the podcast.
Yeah. Her success as a female country artist showed women could achieve great heights in a genre historically dominated by male performers. And this wasn't in the article, but I just wanted to also say, like, not just in music, but just in general, she's a very successful businesswoman still to this day, obviously, with Dollywood. I saw she has a cookbook coming out.
She does everything. Are you kidding me?
She's done film. She's done everything. So, yeah, just not even just in music history. She's just a badass woman in everything. So
yeah, no, that one didn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
Well, I mean, they just picked 10. I don't think they picked like top 10. I think it was just 10.
Oh, I was wondering. I was like, is this ranked in some kind of order? Okay.
No, because there's definitely other people who aren't on here that easily could be. Because like Taylor's not on here, but I think they're talking more like 1900s probably for most of this stuff.
When was this article?
I think last year. I want to say last year because I couldn't find any that were written this year yet.
Gotcha.
Oh, August 23. So.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's more like focused on history and not current people.
Gotcha.
Ella Fitzgerald is next. She was a trailblazing jazz singer and performer who made significant contributions to women in music during her career. She broke barriers for women and people of color during her career and was one of the first Black artists to achieve widespread success and recognition in the predominantly white-dominated music industry, particularly during the early and mid-20th century when racial segregation and discrimination were prevalent. She was also the first woman to ever win a Grammy in 1958, claiming not one but two of the coveted golden phonographs. And they were both for albums, I guess. Ella Fitzgerald sings the Duke Ellington songbook, and Ella Fitzgerald sings the Irving Berlin songbook. Her resilience in the face of adversity, exceptional talent, and dedication to her craft paved the way for generations of women musicians to follow their dreams and break down barriers in the world of music. So, we love Ella.
Yes, I love her voice too. She was one of the records I also really wanted, but I just chose Aretha. But I'll eventually get my Ella Fitzgerald collection as well. Because I just ran out of money, honestly, was the
That's
only
fair.
reason. Because I was like adding a lot to my cart, and I was like, okay, I need to cut some of this down.
That's
fair. Yeah, no, I love her. And you want to talk about like women leading the way? I find it so fascinating that like it's a lot of Black women leading the way too. So they already were like had to fight.
Yeah, like
double the causes, and they were so groundbreaking and like trailblazing.
Like Aretha's section said double marginalization.
Yeah, like it's just, you want to talk about resilience, you got to go back to like early jazz musicians and just, I love, you know, inspiring myself to keep fighting by watching those women who overcome so much more.
Yeah.
And be like, you know what? I can fucking do this too. So.
Joni Mitchell is next. As one of the most influential artists, I'm going to mess up so many times today, in the history of pop music, Joni is truly a pioneer of songwriting and musical experimentation. Her songwriting is known for its poetic depth, emotional honesty, and introspective themes. She broke away from the traditional song structures and tackled complex subject matters, demonstrating women could be prolific and daring songwriters. Her music encompasses a wide range of genres, including folk, rock, jazz, and pop. Throughout her career, Mitchell also maintained artistic control over her music and career decisions. Her autonomy as a female artist set an example for other women in the industry to assert their creative vision and maintain control over their work. Mitchell's challenging of traditional gender norms through her music, lyrics, and persona was groundbreaking and helped pave the way for other women in music to express themselves authentically.
Oh, nice. I didn't know she had such a control over her music.
I don't know all that much about Joni Mitchell, to be honest.
That was not one person that my parents like really showed me as a kid. Like they just weren't as interested, and I also I didn't know that she wrote a lot of songs that were like popular cover songs that I heard. I never realized that she was the one that wrote them.
Like I don't
Big
know
Yellow
who.
Taxi and stuff
I
like
can't
that.
remember who the cover is by, but I know there's like a guy singing it that I know. I know that version, and I don't know hers as well.
Yeah, but she has a couple songs like that were of that kind of genre. But it was also just very folky songwriting, and as much as I respect it, I still don't normally go and turn that kind of music on as much. So it's just not my cup of tea, but again, I can respect it and know that it has a place.
And you can respect music without caring to personally listen to it.
Yes. I think that shows
but respect
musical maturity.
the art.
Yeah. When you're gonna be in this industry and talk, and it's just
it's like people who are like, oh, I don't care for Taylor Swift, but I can respect her as an artist and as a businesswoman and everything, because I do have friends like that who are like, I don't care to listen, but I respect her. Patsy Cline was a true pioneer of the moment and one of the first women artists to achieve mainstream success in the country music genre. Cline's distinctive voice and versatile style allowed her to transcend traditional boundaries as she incorporated elements of pop and jazz into her music, broadening the appeal of country music to a wider audience. Nearly a decade after her death, Cline continued to make history, becoming the first woman to ever be inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame in 1973. So hers is a little shorter because, unfortunately, she
died at 32.
Passed very young and had a very short career, but she made such a big impact with the amount of time she did have.
She was my audition song for Belmont when I auditioned for the music program. I always used to get complimented on how well I used to sing her songs specifically when I was in high school because of the jazzy influences that she has, and it's something that I'm trying to bring into my music as well so much. So she's a big influence of mine as well.
She has there's a TV movie too of it's either called Patsy and Loretta or Loretta and Patsy or something, and it's just all about their friendship and kind of shows both of their stories and how they're entangled while Patsy was alive. So, and Loretta has a daughter named Patsy after her. So,
oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, Patsy's daughter's on American Idol this season.
Oh, that's who. Yes, I was like, I knew I saw something.
I saw
like
the
that.
TikTok pop up, and they like show the family in the hallway, and it says Patsy. I'm like, oh, that's like Patsy Lynn, like named after
that's
Patsy
so
Cline.
Cute.
Yeah.
Aww, sweet.
I also love that she's like, oh, my grandma was a country music singer, and Luke's like, who? And he's like, Loretta Lynn. Like,
so casual.
Casual. It's just makes it seem like, oh, it's just like any random country singer. No, it's like the grandmother of country music.
Yeah.
But yeah, love Patsy. Moving on though, Sinead O'Connor. O'Connor wasn't one to subscribe to any gender notions, and in doing so challenged the industry's inherent expectations when it came to women and what they should look like. Like a true leader, she often confidently tackled taboo subjects and controversial issues in her music and public statements. Her candidness about her personal struggles with mental health, abuse, and societal injustices encouraged dialogue about these important issues, breaking down stigmas and offering support to others facing similar challenges. O'Connor was an outspoken advocate for women's rights and feminism. She used her platform to speak out against sexism, violence against women, and gender inequality, amplifying important conversations surrounding women's issues. So
and we talked about her with the Grammys because she was one of the tribute artists this year and stuff.
Yeah. I, again, don't know much about her, but obviously reading all that, she definitely made an impact and was involved in a lot of important things. So.
Yes. I just know
used her platform.
So that was fine.
Stevie Nicks, hailed the queen of rock and roll, has achieved tremendous success as both a solo artist and an esteemed member of Fleetwood Mac. With her defiance of traditional gender stereotypes, her fusion of multiple musical genres, and her signature bohemian fashion style, Nicks has proved that women can be strong, confident, and influential figures in rock music. Through her music, Nicks has explored themes of empowerment, love, heartbreak, and vulnerability. Her ability to connect emotionally with listeners has allowed women to find strength in their own experiences and feelings. Her solo career further solidified her status as a trailblazing female artist and showcased her distinctive voice and poetic songwriting style. And she's the first woman to have been inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice, because she was inducted for Fleetwood Mac and then as a solo artist. So
I did not know that.
Which is cool that I guess it makes sense that you can do that if you're like a solo artist, but also in a band.
But I think it shows how much you have to really prove yourself then in both.
Because you have to be successful in both.
Yeah, like I can very easily separate the two like as distinct things, and I think that not a lot of people have done that.
Yeah,
I think
it's not
people
like
Harry
trying to
Styles
think of
have like with From One Direction. I think those are two separate things.
Yeah,
but like most people are just like.
I'm just trying to think of like there's like rock bands where like members are like well known as an individual but not necessarily have like a big solo career,
like Queen.
Yeah, like Roger Taylor, Brian May. They're like out
I was
doing things.
Freddie, but yeah.
Well, but I just mean like present day. Like
present day.
They're not like doing solo careers in the present day, and they're not like doing. And even when they did solo stuff, it wasn't the point of where they would probably be inducted separately from Queen.
I mean. Yeah. Whereas like Stevie has like Fleetwood Mac was very much its own thing, and then Stevie Nicks is very much her own thing. So.
Yeah. Tina Turner. The late, great Tina Turner endured a tumultuous early life and overcame challenges in her career, demonstrating that women can triumph in the face of adversity. Her live performances are legendary, characterized by her high-energy dancing, captivating stage presence, and electrifying vocals. Her performances set new standards for showmanship and inspired generations of performers. As a person, Turner was often talked very highly of, with many praising her honesty, authenticity, and love of laughter. In 1980, she reinvented herself as a solo artist after leaving her tumultuous marriage and her former musical partnership with Ike Turner. Her reinvention showcased her ability to adapt and evolve in the ever-changing music industry, something that women often find difficult or near impossible in the unforgiving landscape of the music industry. Many of Tina Turner's songs carry empowering themes of independence, strength, and resilience, resonating with audiences and serving as anthems for women navigating their own paths in life. That makes me think of how Taylor said she's like constantly trying to evolve and keep it interesting so that way people are still interested in her, because I think that's like a thing with women that they feel the need to try and like
for sure
evolve to make themselves more interesting and like keep the attention and keep their career alive.
I was thinking of
whereas
Beyonce
there's like
right now too.
Whereas I feel like male artists can just keep putting out the same exact kind of album year after year and not really have any like decline in popularity.
For sure.
So that's what I think about.
Topic, yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Last one is Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston's unparalleled vocal prowess featured an extraordinary range and control that firmly established her as one of the greatest singers in history. Her exceptional talent and unmatched technique elevated the standards for female vocalists, igniting a spark of inspiration in aspiring singers to reach for greatness. Unsurprisingly, her incredible musical gifts propelled her to become one of the best-selling female artists of all time, a testament to her immense popularity and universal appeal. Additionally, by breaking barriers and paving the way for others, Houston made history as the first African-American woman to receive consistent airtime on MTV, a milestone that left a significant mark on the music industry and opened doors for diverse representation in the years that followed.
Oh my gosh.
So,
whenever someone brings up Whitney Houston, it just like cuts me to my core just because her life just anyways, okay, so there was 2 movies. I did go see the Whitney Houston documentary though, because I remember crying vividly, and her life was just you need to watch it. If you haven't watched and you're even a casual fan of Whitney Houston, because I was a casual fan of Whitney Houston, I fell in love with Whitney Houston that day. And oh my gosh, her life is just so tragic at times. So unfortunate how she died, just because no one was there for her. It's very similar to me how Amy Winehouse, like they just wanted love and attention and to be loved for their craft.
There is an Amy Winehouse movie coming out.
I know, I'm so excited. Yes,
there's a lot of biopics coming out right now, and
but these were 2 documentaries.
Okay,
and no, the Whitney Houston one was a documentary because her mom talks in it, and it's like an actual documentary. It is heartbreaking. It made me, I sat in that theater and I sobbed. I do remember being by myself though, because I knew you weren't there, but I thought that the hired gun guy was in that movie too. But I know his son went to Belmont anyway.
Yeah, I think he called him out from the crowd.
But but I definitely did go see that, and I knew I said it went by myself but I sat and I cried. And it opens with "I Want to Dance with Somebody" in the movie, which is why I thought maybe it was that. But her mom talks in it. She talks about they literally divulge like everything about her life, and then it was right before the woman that she spent a lot of time with, who people thought maybe they had a romantic relationship with as well.
Have you seen the biopic?
Not yet.
Okay, because they dive more into that too,
because
and
she
show
released
that more.
a book right after this movie came out, and I haven't read the book, but apparently she actually I didn't hear anything about the book, so I don't know how involved it is, and like if there was anything, or if people just didn't really know about the book or what happened. My coffee made a weird noise.
Hello.
I know my because there was supposedly it was supposed to like give all the answers to like what happened, but it just I sobbed. I love Whitney Houston so much. Her voice is just unparalleled to anything. Like it's just so tragic to see her in her later years when she's like trust, because again it's just like I said with Amy Winehouse,
I remember when she passed too, because it was right before the Grammys, and they were like, okay, now we gotta like figure out how to like, because you can't not talk about her and address it, so they had to like rewrite some of the plan for the Grammys
right now. Like it's just
to make sure to honor her properly and such.
It's so hard being in this industry sometimes, because honestly that's what all of us want. And I'm gonna cry because it's just like it hits so close to home, which is why I was like, I just sat there and I was just thinking like all any of us in the industry really want is for that love and admiration for the gifts that we're given, and it's just like being so hard on yourself, and she was so hard on herself, and she just, because her mom was so hard on her, it's just like
I could find like the documentary just so we have the actual
name of it. Yeah, that would be great.
There's one called Whitney that was in 2018.
Yes, it's that one then.
It is?
Yes.
Okay. I was like, well, we weren't
because
at
I want to
Belmont.
say
Well,
2019.
actually, no, we were.
We were because we graduated in 2017.
Yeah.
So it would have been our freshman year.
Yeah, so it's probably, an in-depth look at the life and music of Whitney.
It was amazing. Definitely recommend.
And then the biopic is just called Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody. And it was all the 10.
Okay. Good, because I didn't have it in me to go through more.
I'm like, yeah, 10's kind of a lot, but I didn't know how to cut down to less than 10. So I just did the whole article because I'm like, I don't feel fair cutting people. But yeah, I also had that this past week, March 6th in LA. So that was Wednesday night. They had the 2024 Billboard Women in Music Awards.
Oh,
so that's a cool thing. I kept seeing pictures of it. Katy Perry had like a red outfit that I kept seeing online and stuff like that.
I might have seen that then. Okay. I didn't know that's what that was from though.
Yeah, it was hosted by Tracy Ellis Ross, and they just honor a bunch of women in music that are like doing good stuff, I guess. And they have Woman of the Year, and this year it was Carol G, who's the first artist who primarily records in Spanish to claim the honor since the inauguration of the ceremony in 2007. Oh. So that's cool. And yeah, there's like, I don't know how many people. I listed all of them. I don't really feel like reading all of them. But there's a good handful of people that were honored, like Mary Morris for Visionary, and they have just like different categories and stuff.
I did see the posts of like Mary Morris Visionary.
Ice Spice Hitmaker.
Yeah, okay. I did see that post all over. Okay.
Yeah, Victoria Monet, Rising Star, which makes sense because she won New Artist at Grammys. So yeah, they just honor a bunch of women that are killing it in music this in the present. So nice. I think that's cool that they have a whole award ceremony for it. Yeah. And then I found on the industry side, because Leslie Fram posted that she got honored. So there's a whole website that names this year's list of high achieving women from every sector of the industry.
Oh wow.
Like literally every sector. So I just like wrote down what they said about Leslie because that's the one that I saw like post like thank you for honoring me kind of thing. And she, for people who don't know, she's the senior VP of music and talent at CMT, and they had a little blurb of like some stuff that she's been working on that's been great for celebrating women. CMT's Next Women of Country capped its first decade in 2023 with its largest class to date and a year-long celebration of female voices. The program has welcomed more than 125 artists since its inception, including Lainey Wilson, Morgan Wade, Madeline Edwards, and oh my god, reading Ingrid Andress, so sorry, who all teamed up with Alanis Morissette for a performance of You Oughta Know at the 23 CMT Music Awards. Other highlights from Fram include Megan Thee Stallion presenting Shania Twain as the Equal Play honoree, Mary Morris's CMT Crossroads episode with Hozier, which I worked, and the launches of the female-focused docu-series CMT Defining and CMT Smashing Glass, a new tentpole event celebrating groundbreaking women in music. And then there's a quote from her that says, "Women dominated our stages and screens this year," Fram says. "While our work is far from done, I'm always proud CMT continues to be a leading and vocal advocate for women and underrepresented voices in our format." So she's always been a champion for women.
She's a great name to know in this town. If you're in Nashville, she's a great name to know.
Yeah, kind of more specifically country, yes, because country music television. But great advocate for women, but also just like she says, underrepresented voices. So
for sure, anyone
that's kind of like not a straight white male.
Yeah.
But yeah, so love her.
She definitely champions those. She
champions people, and will like. I was at, I don't remember what event it was, but she was being honored, and Kelsey Ballerini was performing to honor her, and she talked about like when she first got to town, she literally went over and had dinner at her house with Leslie and her husband, and Leslie's just like, what do you need? What do you want? What are your goals? What do you need in order to get there? Yeah. So she's just a champion for women and is always wanting to help in any way she can. Yeah. So I love her.
I have not personally met her, but I've heard a lot of great things about her in this town.
I've been around her, but have not had an appropriate time to be like, hey, just want to introduce myself and thank you for what you do for women in country music, which is all I really want to say to her. Yeah. It just I haven't had the right moment to do so yet, but eventually one will pop up.
Appropriate moments to talk to people in the industry, and I want to do a whole episode on professionalism because I think it's very important to talk about.
I guess I haven't mentioned, I just do like production assistant work for tapings. Like I said, I worked the Maren Morris, Hosier, Crossroads. So just like audience check-in and things like that. So obviously she's around at these events, but we're all working. So I'm not going to pull her aside while she's trying to work and while I'm supposed to be working. So it's not the right time to do it. But one of these days, maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
When the time is appropriate.
Change the Conversation, who I think you're going to talk about a little later, does these, are they monthly meeting type things where
they have a lot of events,
and I know she goes to quite a number
she's
of
the founder of it
those
too,
would be more of the types of opportunities where you could say something to her.
Yeah, for sure. She's also friends with my publicist, so she was like, just go up and say hi. She wants to say hi. I'm like, I know, but it's not appropriate right now.
Yeah.
I have research of like lots of statistics and stuff of how many women are like in the different areas of the business, and also like artists and songwriters, so business and creative sides. So I have a lot of research on women in the music business, and so I found this thing called the Annenberg Inclusion Initiative, and it's the leading think tank in the world studying diversity and inclusion in entertainment through original research and sponsored projects. And beyond research, they develop targeted research-based solutions to tackle inequality. And so this is like throughout the entertainment industry, but like film, everything, not just music. But I found stuff that was like specific for music. But like the initiative itself does have research with the other areas, not just music.
Gotcha.
So yeah, they're cool. I'm gonna link to everything, but. They do research, advocacy, and action. So they're actively trying to help the industry be more inclusive. And they actually have like an inclusion list that has like data-driven ranking to show who in the industry is taking it seriously, like taking inclusion seriously, and being a driving force for change.
Oh, wow.
So they said, with this tool, we seek to inform, challenge, and congratulate the entertainment industry and point out where there is room to grow. So I think they're a good resource of all this research and data to be like, hey, here's the areas where we can improve, but also like, hey, good job if you are actually actively being part of the solution.
Yes. Can I just say before we get started on this, is that this isn't like not every person, like, I know Ladies in Tangents says, like, not every man.
Not every man.
Has always been a pattern that it is a much easier for a white man to make it in the music industry.
Yeah.
Which, to me, is very interesting, and it's always been, like, a thought in my mind that when you think music, I feel like everyone thinks of a woman. Just from the aspect of, like, I was reading this book, and at the end of it, it's called Mad Honey. A, it was a very good book. You should go read it. B, no, it is not I don't think, at least, it was trying to be, a lot of criticism on it is like, oh, it's just trying to be woke and all this stuff. No, it was just honestly a very good book. But the ending of it is the main character goes through and is like, it's funny how things are gendered. Like, even a violin versus a bass is gendered. Like, you think woman for violin and you think bass is a male instrument. Like, the smallest things in our mind are subconsciously gendered. And I think singing, when you're thinking singing, you're like middle school choir. It's usually girls,
there's more girls in choir growing up than guys.
You think that, like, it's going to be so easy then but it's competitive. We have to compete with each other all the time just because the world and society has pinned women against women so much. You have to fight for the fact that, like, it is so much easier because I think people are so used to the thought that this is a once in a lifetime thing for a man. And so, of course you're another woman that could sing. And like, it's just thrown. But then if you look at the stats, which we're going to talk about, it is completely the opposite of what you would think it is. And like, I'm sure you could rattle off a couple names of women that are big in the industry right now. But if you're looking at charts, if you're looking at statistics, if you're looking at anything, it comes down to the fact that, like, yes, there is always going to be a woman in the front of it. Yeah. But it is all 9 out of 10 are going to be mans.
There's a lot of
male still run. And it is such a big deal. And it does need to be acknowledged that just because it is maybe subconsciously gendered that singing is like a female thing, looked down upon, or like you're weaker in some way if you're a male that sings, or like it's, you know, going back to like the homophobic days of looking at it, you know, it was like looked at in such a negative light. And it's just like, why is it so gendered? And I think breaking down those barriers at an earlier age is going to be a good thing to do. But also just like noting that, like, yes, there are a lot of females fighting for that spot, but it's just because we have to fight for one spot. Whereas males have 5 spots open and don't have to fight each other on it either. And then it's like, so it's already automatically easier for them because I think we have this subconscious that like, oh, we have to hold on to the male, but like we don't. They're a dime a dozen, and they're all singing the same shit. And yes, I'm thinking more country. I'm not going to lie in this thing. Just because, but it's like, yeah, they're great, but they're great at copying what the last person did and not making anything new. Whereas we have to constantly create something new to separate ourselves, to really show that, like, hey, we actually, like, do offer something more than just, like, what you automatically assume. And we already have to be, like, 10 steps ahead to, like, even get the chance to be in around those male figures that are trying to do anything. I also think that it's a lot easier because, again, music is for some reason gendered towards women, that like having a male singing to a woman is a lot easier to promote on stage than it is for a woman to sing about literally anything.
There's stats on that too that I'll get to.
Oh, but good. Okay, so I'm like, because I think it's never really like openly discussed like that. Like I've only had one class where we openly got to discuss like what is so-called a hot topic like that. And it was in my touring class, my tour merchandising class. And he would start everything by saying like, let's discuss a controversial thing and let's openly discuss it, and let's not shatter other people's thoughts and opinions of it, but have an open discussion and be willing to argue a point and be open to interpreting and listening. Oh, and my music class, I had it, what was it? It was like history of pop music. And we talked about a lot of things that I was like, I think it's a good, Katie.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to fix this, but I'm listening, but I'm like trying to do it subtly.
My ADHD is going to go crazy. So, I think that's something that needs to be openly addressed. And like, if you're butthurt about it, question why.
Yeah.
Is it because it's true? Like, do you need to do an internal dig here and say like, why am I upset about this? Think on that. Continue, Katie.
Okay. So this one's a little outdated. It's from June 2021, but it has like music business side, and then my other one is like January 2024, but that's more creative. But I wanted to be able to talk about the stats for like the business side of like those roles as well, so that's why I'm still including it.
But it probably honestly hasn't changed that much in the time of 2 years.
Okay. This research is called Inclusion in the Music Business, Gender and Race/Ethnicity Across Executives, Artists, and Talent Teams. And for the sake of time and for the sake of this being Women's History Month episode, I did only focus on the gender part. Like I said, we're linking everything if you want to look at the rest of it, or we could do a whole episode with race and ethnicity as well. I just think time-wise, it's a lot, so I'm trying to condense down and focus. But yeah, so I just want to point out that it's not like I'm purposely ignoring it in the sense of that it's not important, because it is.
It is, yes.
But yeah, just wanted to put that out there moving forward. So the purpose of this study is to map diversity of U.S. music business across different positions of power, and it examined rank and titles for 4,060 executives across 119 companies in the music space. And the organization spanned 6 categories, so music groups, labels/label groups, publishing, radio streaming, and live music / concert promotion. And then also they looked at established artists signed to labels, and they were studied as well as members of the artist teams. So they had like 6 major claims characterizing the findings. I just kind of like found statistics within that. So again, if you want to go in depth, just like go find the link. I just figured throughout statistics to, again, kind of condense things.
Yeah.
So out of 72 top executives, only 13.9% were women, and they're only in independent companies. So none of the major companies had women as their top executives. Women executives, not one sector reached 40%. Live music and concert promotion came closest with 39.1%, but other categories were similar. 1/3 or less of all executives in radio and publishing were women. So radio was 33.2% and publishing 31.9%. So all kind of like in the 30 range. So not many executives are women at the very top of the different organizations. So they examined 1,750 solo artists that are affiliated with labels and label groups, and there were 31.8% women artists. And I don't know why this was also in this area, but A&R execs were 26.7%. So again, all kind of like way less than majority.
Yeah.
Even though the population of the world is like, I think just over 50% women or something like that.
Yeah.
We hold the majority in the world, but not in positions of power.
And I will say, jobs in the music industry, I know so many of my friends that are struggling. It is so much sometimes just about being friends or related to people.
It's a networking thing.
And it's more of a networking thing, and we'll have a whole episode on networking. I know we say that about a lot of different things, but I mean,
eventually we'll get to a lot of topics.
We have so many topics because this is whole classes at Belmont for a whole semester, and we're like condensing it down into these hour-long tidbits. But I think too, why the women's thing is so important to us is because I feel like a lot of times with those kinds of things, and why the Grammys were so important this year, at least in my eyes, was that it is always just like a pop-up thing, and then it'll go away. And it feels more like a stunt than that they try to get some more women into these things so that like people stay off their backs and they can go back to what they're doing in a year or two. But it's never just like a continual thing of like actual change. And I think, I think change the conversation. I love that name just in general, because it's like we just want to just be a part of it. And it's like, again, I say we're just fighting for that one slot, whereas like everybody else, it is so much more about like, I have seen so many people just come in because they were just right place, right time of being in a bar somewhere, and they just became friends, and we have an opening, and they text their friends, and it's just like then they get the job instead of, and then I hear people complain about them and how like, I've heard so many intern stories of like people complaining just because they were like related to people, and it's just like it's got to stop at some point. And like, I'm sure obviously, Katie and I do the same kinds of things, but I mean, because we help out our friends too. Like, you want to help out your friends. I get that. It happens in everything. You have to have them
be qualified people too.
In the music industry, yes, there is a lot of, pick it up as you go to it. So I think a lot of people think that they can just come in off the streets and do any part of the industry. And while that is a great aspect to the industry, you also do need qualified people at some point. And some positions are not just, they're my friend, I'm going to give them a job. And I see it with some places that I work at as well. Yeah. And it gets very frustrating and annoying for the people that have done the work and have done the schooling and have done all these things and like get pushed aside a lot for those people. What I will say too, especially on the touring side, because I see it personally a lot, that has to change and is very hard to change, is when you're out on the road, they don't want to hire females because of allegations that they might get, or just because then they have to get a whole nother hotel room, and they do it more out of fear of women retaliating for some reason instead of giving them the opportunity. And it's like very frustrating, because then they'll just like stop at a certain point and just be like, if they give one female a try and they have some kind of issue with her, or they have to buy an extra hotel room which eats at cost, which they don't want to buy anymore. So then it's like I experience that every day with some things that I do, and it's just like, it's very frustrating then, because it's like you could be the best woman in the industry, but just because they have to buy you another hotel room because you can't sleep with the guys and be a part of the man's club that they already have, you don't get that job. And that is discrimination against genders. It is, period. So.
Yeah. The last part of this research was the artist team. So, sorry, I should have organized this part a little better.
Go for it.
So they like listed the numbers for the final sample. I think it's going to be easier to like jump back and forth here. So in the sample, there were 321 managers, 26.5% were women. They did not put the number of artists, but for the purposes of this, they said established artists. Established refers to whether the artist had at least one song on the Billboard Hot 100 year-end charts from 2012 to 2020, and 30.2% were women. Agents, out of 243, 19.7% were women. I found it interesting, out of 135 publicists, though, 63.8% were women.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, interesting. But then they do, because they do, since I mentioned this is also, they talked about race and ethnicity. Mm-hmm. I want to say it was like 50-something% of that were white women and like 11 were black women. Yeah. So on the race side, that's not as good. But women overall being over majority for publicists, that's interesting that like why that section is more. But I don't know if it's
because
like
we know how to use our words appropriately.
We know how to get people articles and interviews and stuff better.
Which
somehow.
Is just funny because the whole.
But then why would agents not be? Because agents are the same in the sense of like you're trying to like book shows for them in the way that publicists are trying to book like interviews. So
well, that's why I was gonna say
like,
it's very
why is
interesting
it
that
higher?
Publicists are able to do that. Yet, when. Okay, so, because this is going to open up a little bit of a floodgate here.
Okay.
Because I think of back when Miranda Lambert and the whole Tomato Gate thing in country music. And I sat, and we both sat, actually, I think, in a panel where they discussed it at CRS.
I thought about that.
I'm going to name it because it needs to be talked about. And I listened to a room full of men and a handful of women opposing sides. The women were all like, why are we not playing?
CRS is Country Radio Seminar, by the way.
And honestly, even a couple of the women were on the male side as well.
Yeah, but it's like a seminar where all these people who work in radio come to Nashville for a conference, and they, the thing we're talking about was they had like an open discussion where they just had the floor open to debate why are women not getting played on country radio.
Yes, because it was right after Casey Musgraves won all those Grammys, and they had never played her on the radio. Yeah. And then it was the Miranda Lambert Tomato Gate thing, which if you want to research that, feel free to as well. It was a big news story a couple years ago.
Was it Miranda? I don't remember if there was an artist attached to it. I thought it was just Tomato Gate of like women in general.
Oh, okay, maybe it wasn't. Why did I think Miranda Lambert had something to do with researching it?
I mean, a lot of people like, let's see. Tomatogate, also called Salad-gate, 2015 controversy in country music stemming from comments made by radio consultant Keith Hill to love that we name him.
Name it.
Keith Hill to the country radio trade publication Country Radio Aircheck regarding underrepresentation of women in playlists of country music radio stations. He advocated stations not play songs by women artists back to back and drew an analogy with the composition of a salad, male artists as the lettuce, female artists as the tomato garnish. So it wasn't about a specific artist.
Okay,
it was just women in general.
I mentioned Miranda,
no, you're good.
I don't know why in my mind. I think it has something to do with something. Again, my memory's a little blurry around that time. A lot was going on.
I mean, she was one of the people who reacted, obviously.
Oh, so. Maybe that was... Oh, it was because she made shirts or something about the tomatoes, and that was why...
I know a bunch of people were buying Girl Crush hats because it was around the time Girl Crush was a single. I have that hat because all the artists were buying Girl Crush hats as like, I guess, a connection to Tomato Gate sort of thing. I want to say
it was because of something she said. So in my mind, I always associate her with, and she had said something about being the tomato, and she was, so that was
and
why
it kind of ties in,
looking
at this, it is mentioning like song suffragettes and stuff, and I changed the conversation, it literally has a tomato on their logo.
Yeah, so. Because it was born out of this, and that's why I was saying, I think it's like, you have these big moments, but then they dissipate after a while, and I want to continue the conversation about it, which is what a lot of these things are doing. But I think we're starting to lose a little bit of steam now too. So I'm glad that International Women's Day honestly was a big deal yesterday. I saw a lot of people posting about it. I saw a lot of headlines about it, which made me feel really good about it, because I feel like we're losing a little bit of steam here about changing it, and we're going backwards in not a good way again. And it's not because women aren't capable of things. I found everybody in that room was like, well, they don't want to hear it. They don't call and request, but they also don't give them the time. And I saw women in that radio room like making such avid points of why this is wrong. And the males just being like, well, essentially like we're too lazy and don't want to change their minds.
I think some people are like, well, it's not about gender. It's about if the songs are quality. And I'm like, look at women's songs. Are you telling me they're like not as good as male songs? No. It's like, why? That's not even a valid argument, because
and it goes back to
you're just saying that they're
you have
not
to
written
fit
as
in
well
with things. And why some artists get like the cold shoulder was because of all these radio tours and stuff. And if you didn't have a beer with the radio guys, they automatically didn't want to play you. It was like, I saw so many of those kinds of things, and it was just a bit ridiculous, and it fired me up, and obviously still does fire me up. And
I will say, I just found on here about the merch. So I guess in the following CMA Fest in June, t-shirts were sold bearing slogans, "Let the Tomatoes Play," and Martina announced she would sell tomato t-shirt for women and tomato lover shirt for men. So there was, and the proceeds went to a foundation. Team Martina is the foundation they went to, I guess. Okay. But yeah, so there was merch that was specifically tomato related. So you're right on that.
Yeah. I think I had another point, but it's okay. I mean,
yeah.
just being.
I mean, I'll get more into the radio, country radio stuff. Like, I'm trying to keep it in order.
That's fine. That's fine. We can keep going.
We're kind of going back and forth a little bit, but that's fine. So the next one is inclusion in the recording studio. It literally has a question mark at the end, so that's interesting because a lot of this was positive actually. But it's gender and race / ethnicity of artists, songwriters, and producers across 1,200 popular songs from 2012 to 2023. And I'll say again that I did just focus on gender for time's sake, but everything is linked, and we can also do a whole nother episode if we want to, and if you guys want us to, for the race and ethnicity side of things, which I think would be good to do.
I agree.
So this is from January 2024, so this is like completely updated info, and this is more focused on creative side. And so hang on, I lost my spot. This one had less text and more graphics, so I kind of put like the titles and then the stats with it. So women are finally gaining ground in music. Out of there's 2,299 total number of artists in their research, and the ratio from that of men to women is 3-1. So honestly, that's not as bad as I think it had been in the past. That seems smaller.
Okay.
2023 was a year when women in music saw growth. Areas where women's participation increased across the music industry, and they list them. So artists increased in 2022 30.2% to 35% in 23. Producers from 3.5% in 2022 to 6.5% in 2023, which is so tiny. It's still growth, but a long ways to go. Yeah. That's so sad that only 6.5% are women. Songwriters went from 14.1% in 22 to 19.5% in 23. And then they also mentioned like Grammys, and I don't know if it was Grammys nominated or won, but 15.5% in 2023 and then 24% in 24, since we have this year's Grammys. So that one is different years than the rest of the stats. Women solo artists are driving change. Percent women solo artists from 2020 to 2023. So just like listing off all four of those years. 22.5% in 2020, then 30.6, 34.8, and then 40.6 for 23. So we are going up. That's good. Women songwriters see gains for the first time since 2012. So there were 11% women songwriters in 2012, and again the 19.5% in 23. So things are looking up on the creative side, so that's nice. But still outnumbered as producers, ratio of men to women across 900 popular songs was 30-1, and again the 6.5% women producers in 23. And less than 1% of 1,200 popular songs have only women writers, so no men writing at all. 44% have one or more women, and 56 have no women. So that's interesting that there's usually one.
That was what I was wondering.
There's usually at least one guy in the room as far as like writing songs. Less than 1% don't have any men.
And there's
nothing wrong with
a male songwriter. Mm-hmm. Men do create good music. Men do write good songs.
It's important to have the female perspective,
saying that there are different perspectives, exactly.
And have that represented in music. So, like, women can hear songs that they can relate to because they are written by other women.
Yes.
So those were all the statistics, but most of the stuff was trending upward, at least. Like, it has a long way to go. They're still pretty small percentages, but at least they are trending upward, and I hope that it continues to grow and be moved upward, and that's why we need to keep talking about it, because, like you said, like, instead of having it be like, oh, this big thing blows up and it's trending and then it goes away and then people don't care anymore. Like, we need to keep going and make people aware, so that way they are caring and working towards the change.
For sure, yeah.
So then next I have the organizations that are championing women and working to be part of the solution to have a more equal playing field when it comes to the music industry. So first I have CMT, and I have all three of these are ones that we have like personal knowledge of being in Nashville, and they're more kind of geared towards country music, but I think it's still and that's probably,
I think that's just the clientele
just
here,
where we're at. So I have CMT first, and we already talked about Leslie and how she's a huge advocate, but also I think I mean, I don't have stats on CMT as a company, but I feel like they have a lot of women just within their company, which is great. I can think of maybe not talking other production assistants, but like talking just like supervisors and stuff. I think I've worked with maybe one, maybe two men. The rest have been all women. And like the head people have always been women. Mm-hmm. So I think they're just killing it of like hiring women too.
Good, yeah.
But they have like a couple different things. I wanted to talk about CMT Equal Play, which is where I found more research with the country radio not playing women. They have their own website, which I'll link, and I just kind of like copied and pasted stuff that was on their website. So Equal Play does not exist for women and historically excluded artists in country music. Their powerful voices and legendary songs have influenced and defined country music, yet they are not played, streamed, toured, signed, or awarded at a level they deserve. It's time for us to take action, dramatically increase representation in country music, and create an equal playing field. It's time to hear more diverse voices. Join CMT as we bring together fans, artists, and industry leaders to commit to create equal opportunities for all voices in country music. And then they have like an area of their website of facts and then links to sources. I'm not going to get super into all those sources, but they are on their website. They did a research what is that called? The Annenberg Inclusion Initiative that I talked about earlier also did one called No Country for Female Artists, Artist and Songwriter Gender on Popular Country Charts from 2014 to 2018, because this is kind of back to where they started Equal Play in 2020, so this is a little more dated, but in that they found that only 16% of artists were female across top country songs. And then CMT Insights and Coleman Insights did Equal Play radio research, where they researched and polled listeners of country radio, and that's where they found that 84% of all country radio listeners want equal play for female artists, and also 53% of fans do not have a gender preference. So over the majority don't care which or the gender of the artist that they're listening to on radio. So when we're talking about CRS and how they're like, oh, like people want to hear male singers, like guys want to hear dudes like them or whatever, and then women want to be like serenaded by guys or something stupid like that. Like, no, they want to hear women too, or they don't care. Which, if they don't care, then like, why not have it be more of an equal playing field?
Yeah, no, and I think that's why Lainey winning so much is like a big deal, because I really thought Kelsey and Maren were gonna make that kind of an impact, and then when they didn't, like,
I think they also
them.
I think they just personally wanted to go more into pop, and that's why they're not making as big of an impact with country too.
Stupid, because Maren's still like, I love Maren Morris so much. I am on her side 100%, and I don't care if you have a problem with that.
Yeah.
So I think she is unafraid to speak the truth, and I love that about her. Yeah. And I'm like, go off, girl. I can't believe Girl came out 5 years ago. She posted that yesterday. I was like, oh my God. Oh, yeah. It's still my favorite record of hers, honestly.
So good. So then they list their commitment. So CMT kicked off Equal Play in 2020 with 3 bold commitments for parity. CMT instituted 50-50 play for female artists across CMT and CMT music channels effective January 2020. CMT Radio Live pledged Equal Play double lane airplay for female artists with its own 50% female playlist. And then CMT After Midnight debuted CMT Next Women to Country Artist of the Month, an on-air feature that directly impacts charting, allowing CMT 1 additional spin per week for female artists on 230 plus stations nationally syndicated by iHeartRadio's premier networks. So it wasn't just like on their channels. They're doing equal play, 50-50 play of male and female artists. There was like a couple different things that I didn't know about as well that they were doing for that. And then they also, I don't know why this was on this website, but another thing with CMT was Next Women to Country, which I already kind of talked about, but I just thought this paragraph was a good summary about what it is more, or like kind of explain what it is more than the one that was with the Billboard Women in Music thing.
Okay.
A staunch advocate for country music's female artists, CMT first launched its Next Women to Country campaign in 2013 as a substantial effort to support and expose developing female talent, both signed and unsigned, in a male-dominated format. The initiative has grown to include various digital series, 6 national tours, and more. Which I love that, like, they have, like, a class every year. Yeah. I don't know if they've done a tour in a while.
Yeah. Last time it was a very small tour, if I remember the last time that they
but I love that they're like, we're gonna take women on the road and have like a whole tour around.
And I loved that
to promote them and everything. And I think with CMT being such a big name for country music, like just having that name tagged on to a tour, people are gonna pay attention.
People in a little bit, for sure.
So I think it said 125 artists as of 2023, and then they just inducted, I don't even know how many were in class of 2024. I know Tiger Lily Gold was in it, so it's like, yay, good for them, because we went to school with them. So love to see fellow Belmont artists succeed.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
That was cool. Change the conversation, which we have brought up a little bit, is the second one. Mentioned that founded by Leslie Fram, but also Beverly Keel and Tracy Gershon. And they are actually doing with Women's History Month, they're doing like a daily post on their Instagram highlighting a female artist and kind of having a summary of their recent accolades. So I love that they're doing that for the month to celebrate Women's History Month. So again, I just copied from their website, just kind of saying who they are. So fights gender inequality in the music industry by providing support, education, and community for female artists and executives. Our mission is to raise awareness and create change so that more female voices will be heard in country music. Our goal is to have more women played on radio stations, digital streaming platforms, signed to record and publishing deals, and offered high-profile opportunities such as more slots on tours and festivals and performing on TV and award shows. We dispel the myths that women don't support other female artists or desire more female voices on the radio. We commission research and include expert opinions to present the truth of women's successes, such as album sales, ticket sales, social media influence, and endorsement deals. We provide new artist development, mentoring opportunities, and other guidance to help young female singer-songwriters and executives. We fight inequality with truth. And they had that last sentence in all caps on their website.
I love that.
So, yeah, they're great. they have an event with Martina coming up next month that we're going to go to. So we might talk more about that, I guess, when it happens.
I was wondering what that was, honestly. I thought we missed it, and I was like, did that ever happen?
It's next, it's in April, which was interesting that they're like, join us to celebrate Women's History Month, but the event's actually after it's over. But it's fine. It'll be good. And the last one I have is Song Suffragettes, which they do every Monday night at the Listening Room Cafe in Nashville. They now have both the early and the late shows. Now they do 2 shows every Monday night of
which just
all
shows
female songwriters.
That A, they sell it out most nights, and B, they have enough women artists to do 2 nights in a night.
Or
2 shows a night. So, yes, the amount of talent in this industry and in this town for females.
Yes.
And every fucking show is a good show. I interned, never once had a boring night.
Yeah.
Never once saw people disappointed as they left because they just sat through an hour, 2 hours of all women songwriters. Never once. I saw people cry. I saw people laugh. I saw people enjoy themselves. For 2 hours. Well, back then it was still just 1 show a night when I was interning, but now they do 2. Never once.
And they've had like a lot of
stuff
of I think all 3 of these kind of work together now. It seems like I've been seeing like this year's class of Next Women a Country have some sort of collaboration with Song Suffragettes that I have been seeing on Instagram, and obviously because Leslie's part of Change the Conversation and CMT, they have stuff together as well. I didn't really put much for Song Suffragettes because I know you interned, so I didn't know if you had more stuff, but I know their Instagram also, it's not just
little hard with COVID, and so I did it right after COVID had hit. So I watched like kind of their more rougher years, but then I watched as it slowly became more,
and they're celebrating
more and more again, and now they're celebrating 10 years, and it's always a great, like I said, even in those like rougher shows, because COVID was a thing still and we all were wearing masks, no one was disappointed. Like I said, it was still such a great time to celebrate music. At the core of it, we were celebrating music, and we were celebrating talent, and we were celebrating, and then on top of that, we were celebrating women and being strong and female voices, and so it just like added all these layers, and it was great, and it was fun, and we were a bunch of women supporting other women as interns too. So it was like, because it was an all-female team as well. So it's just like, it's just a great thing to check out. If you're in town, you don't know where to go for live music, Monday nights at the Listening Room. Yeah. That's where you should be.
Their Instagram, I think, has a lot of good posts of not only like highlighting the people that play and all that, but they do sometimes have statistics and are doing that advocacy of being like, here's the statistics of we've gone X amount of weeks without a woman on country radio and things like that. So highlighting the issues and advocating for change as well on their Instagrams. So yeah, that's all I had.
And they're not just country. I have friends of all genres that get to play it. I think another big thing is, and I've debated bringing this up and where to bring it up specifically. Thought I heard Ant at the door for a second. Is that I think a lot of times, at least maybe specifically in, well, I guess it kind of spans through all genres, is that it is also very hard for women because you have to look a certain way. And a lot of times, and I'm going to use specifically country just because it's what I'm thinking off the top of my head, is that a lot of times I hear men specifically, when I was sitting in on meetings and stuff, I used to be a receptionist at a couple places, and they'd have events in the lobby, and the thing that people, I would overhear conversations, or they'd say to me just off the bat, not really knowing who I am, not that I have any pull in this industry, but like, it's just like, they didn't know anything like about me, and they would come over and say things like, you know, she's really talented, but she also has a nice ass, or she's also, the reason she got what she got is because she's blonde and pretty. Yeah. And I think and I say country just because I'm thinking off the top of my head, when was the last time you saw a plus size woman in country music? It's very rare. And a lot of people have gone to meetings in this town and been told that they need to lose a couple pounds before they get put on anything. Right. Or onto the label or onto anything like that.
Even like downtown. Like, I know I've heard of like the Purple Circuit. because you have to audition for that, like saying like dye your hair blonde and lose weight in order to play there.
Really?
Yep.
It is a thing, and I always, it goes back to a lot of things because I have darker hair, and I know it's so stupid to be talking about a hair color that is making you that insecure. Yes, I am aware of how stupid it sounds, but it's a reality for a lot of women in this industry. Is that like, if I just dyed my hair blonde, would I automatically get prettier? It is a thought. I guarantee you a lot of women in this industry have had that thought of like, should I just go the bubblegum route of dyeing your hair and making little songs and just putting your body out there more than anything else? But anyways,
that's all I had.
Is that all?
It was a lot. I hope you're still with us, because I know like reading off a bunch of statistics and stuff might make people check out a little bit, but I think it's important to share those numbers.
I think that the conversation that we had was very
yeah. So happy Women's History Month.
Happy Women's History Month.
Go listen to some female artists. Go maybe share some female artists on your.
Hold on, I have a post that I. Pause for a second. Live Nation women, and hold on. Live Nation women in music. She is the music. Equalize Her. We Are Moving the Needle. Gritty and Pink. All collaborated on this post, and I reposted it, which is why I'm going to share it with you. And it's a guide to supporting women in music, and we will link this on our Instagrams, hopefully. And like I said, we'll do our own thing, and then maybe we'll put it in the comments.
I also, so I worked with Anchor Publicity. Colleen, is her name, for my releases this past year, and I saw she posted on Facebook, so I'm finding it. I'm assuming that is pronounced Live Out Live, I would think, because, live live, hard to pronounce things. I'm assuming it's Live Out Live for how to say it. They posted like an Happy International Women's Day post, and it's graphics with a bunch of women-owned live music companies.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
And so it's literally women-owned. I'm just scrolling through now. Booking agencies, management companies, festivals, PR companies, tour merch companies, like just a bunch of them. So we should share that and get that linked on this episode as well, just to, if you're looking to support women in the industry, and maybe if you're a musician who needs PR or management or what have you, like, look into these companies.
Yes. And my friend Eva Snyder also did. It's possible. It's hard sometimes because you don't know where the resources are sometimes. So linking stuff like that is great. But she did a whole project, and her one thing she wanted with this project was to be all women. And so every time she posted a new song, I followed the songwriters, I followed the production, because it's a great, first of all, she made a great record. Second of all, or a great project. I think it's an EP. But she made a great project, and it's all women. So so support women in the music business, contribute to advancement, mentor, sponsor women on your team to support career development, be an advocate, build a diverse workplace, and speak up, disrupt, and challenge sexist remarks or behavior that perpetrate inequality. How to support women artists, book more women, avoid stereotyping, walk the talk, cover your basics. And again, all of these have points underneath them, so I'm just going over the basics. But booking women, sometimes they have women specific nights, but most of the time women are one of three people up there. It just happens. In the studio, expand your team, foster a supportive environment, be a safe space, give credit, build pathways. At concerts, cultivate community, see something, say something, look after each other, respect your boundaries. And that's all of their graphics. But that'll be another thing. But I think that's all for this week.
Yeah. So
we'll see next week, Katie.
If you want to follow us and support us on socials, we're at the Music Lens Podcast. And then at the _music_lens_ podcast on Instagram. Feel free to drop us a review and rate and stuff, because that helps us get the algorithm going in our favor to have more people find us and grow this thing. So
we got a lot of content.
Yes,
for you guys
we
coming,
are
so.
working on more. You could follow Alex at Alex Allegra Music on all the things for her individual artist stuff, and then at Katie Fee Music for mine. So yeah, I think that covers all our, all our spiel for the end. For follow us on things. So, please help us grow with you.
Have a great Women's History Month.
Happy Women's History.